Good morning. This is Dylan Jovine with Behind the Markets. Happy Wednesday. Today is Wednesday, February 4th. And today I'd like to talk about Elon Musk, SpaceX. His SpaceX has acquired, as of Monday, xAI. And, I've seen a lot of people comment on that. And I don't know that they're seeing the whole picture. Most of the articles have been complimentary. Oh, he does it again, and da-da-da-da-da. And I don't see many folks asking seriously, what's the math here? And I find that a fun, interesting game to play. So I started asking that with respect to this deal. And, I'm going to share what I've come up with. First of all, on Monday, Elon Musk reported that his SpaceX, which is going public this year, basically has acquired his xAI, the cash-eating xAI, which is the owner of Grok and what was formerly Twitter, what was formerly known as Twitter X. Now, as I said, we knew SpaceX was going to go public, but now xAI is going to be able to get some of the cash that the new company really emerges. And I have some notes here, how Elon Musk explains it. He's been framing this as a merger to get around the constraints of building out data centers on Earth. Basically the power limitations of earthbound data centers. And he's saying that what he's trying to do here is really go after space-based data centers. And he says, and I quote, I don't want to put words in his mouth. This is quote, in the long term, space-based AI is obviously the only way to scale. Now, that may be true, but if it's a long-term play, I don't understand why you would combine xAI with SpaceX right now. My thought is, wouldn't xAI's losses burden SpaceX? Because really, when you think of xAI, it's a model developer. It's responsible again for Grok and, consumer subscriptions to Grok and Twitter. And, Grok is also trying to sell its services to business. So far, not very successfully, but it's burning a lot of cash. Okay. And, in Twitter, it's burning a lot of cash. And, so you say to yourself, remember, SpaceX really has no competition. They have competition, but they are way ahead of everybody. These guys are cooking. And Starlink satellites way ahead of everybody. But when you look at xAI and Grok, they have real competition. They're competing with Google, with Meta, with Anthropic, with Claude. They're competing with very deep-pocketed, deep money competitors who are going to try to really eat their lunch for them. I don't know if merging xAI into SpaceX solves that problem. SpaceX, it's about money, doesn't really make anywhere near the money xAI is going to need in the next few years. The report is that it generated about $15 billion in revenue last year, where Meta generated $200 billion. So Musk's other company, Tesla, is a lot bigger. Its 2025 revenues were about $95 billion. It's obviously, as we've talked about here many, many times, Tesla is moving away from cars and now into robots, the Optimus robots. It's even closing plants that made cars, 2 plants in America, just to have them make Optimus robots. Wow, what a turnaround that is. It's very interesting. And by the way, we created a report on this. We call this embodied intelligence. We're going for AI is jumping off of your screen, and it's going to be running into the real world. Elon Musk's decision to stop making cars, to start making actual walking Optimus robots, is further proof of that. We wrote a report on this last year that Simi just recently updated. Anyway, so, again, for him to pull this off, why attach a cash-burning asset that competes with Google and Meta to such a wonderful asset like SpaceX, Starlink, rocket launchers, and Starlink? And you got to ask yourself, is it just to find an exit strategy for this? There's no doubt AI is huge. Obviously, Grok is a great AI tool. I love it, especially the salty version, which is a whole lot of fun. But, basically, you say to yourself, is this just a way to sell xAI to investors who are just so enthused about SpaceX, just to dump it out into the public? Kind of like MicroStrategy, this Bitcoin holding company. I've always thought to myself, this guy sitting there buying Bitcoin, I wonder who's selling it to him, because there were all these old long-term holders of Bitcoin that really couldn't sell because there wasn't enough liquidity for it. Despite it going up, it was trading 10% of its volume, or 15 or 20% thereabouts. And so there was a lot of Bitcoin held on the side. And I thought to myself, my God, is MicroStrategy, which is now called Strategy, just a way for big money holders of Bitcoin. I'm talking about deep, deep, long-term holders to pump and dump their stuff onto the market, some kind of fixed arrangement. Anyway, it seems like that to me, that Musk is using SpaceX to dump xAI on the market. Does that mean I wouldn't like SpaceX? SpaceX is a great company. I mean, really, again, it generated about $15 billion in revenue. It has great long-term contracts, obviously. And Starlink satellites, as we've talked about here, is just generating revenue. It's great, Starlink internet service. So huge, huge fan of SpaceX. Looking forward to the IPO. But this xAI move, it's, very, very concerning. It's very difficult to fight a two-front war. Very, very difficult to fight a two-front war. Very, very different. You need different capital requirements on each side. And, why would you want to get attacked from both sides? But Elon Musk is a guy who's no slouch. He certainly knows what he's doing. So I'm going to be very interested. But this is something that gives me a little bit of pause. Anyway, that's all I have today. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.